So here's the thing about mountains that people don't really talk about. Some of the deadliest ones out there, they're labeled as beginner friendly. I'm not kidding. You look at the trail descriptions online and they say things like moderate hike, great for families, stunning views with minimal effort. And yeah, thousands of people climb them every year without a problem. But here's what they don't tell you up front. People die on these mountains. Regular people, experienced hikers, and sometimes they die in ways that just seem impossible for a mountain that's supposed to be easy. Today, we're going to talk about some of the most deceptively dangerous peaks you can actually access. Mountains in the US and Europe that don't require technical climbing skills, don't need ropes or ice axes, but will absolutely kill you if you're not prepared or if you just get unlucky. Because that's the scary part, you know? Sometimes it's not even about being unprepared. Sometimes it's just wrong place, wrong time. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're starting with Mount Washington, and if you're from the East Coast, you've probably heard of this one. It's in New Hampshire. It's the highest peak in the northeastern United States at about 6,300 feet. And here's the crazy part. There's literally a road that goes to the top. You can drive up there. There's a cog railway. Tourists go up in shorts and sneakers to take photos at the summit. But Mount Washington has killed more than 160 people. Let me say that again, over 160 deaths on a mountain you can drive up. So what's going on here? Well, Mount Washington has some of the worst weather in the world. And I don't mean bad like, oh, it's raining, better bring a jacket. I mean bad like winds that hit over 230 miles per hour. The second highest wind speed ever recorded on Earth happened right there at the summit. The weather can change in minutes. You start your hike in sunshine, and by the time you're halfway up, you're in a whiteout blizzard with winds that can literally knock you off your feet. And this happens even in summer. People think, oh, it's July, I'll be fine. And then they get caught in freezing rain, hypothermia sets in, and suddenly this easy mountain becomes a fight for survival. There's this famous case from 1982. A guy experienced with winter hiking went up in January. The weather turned. Winds were so strong he couldn't move. He froze to death just a few hundred feet from an emergency shelter. That's how fast it happens up there. The thing is, Mount Washington feels safe because it's so accessible. But that accessibility, it tricks people. They don't take it seriously, and that's when it gets you. Now let's hop over to Scotland and talk about Ben Nevis. It's the highest mountain in the British Isles at about 4,400 feet. And if you think that sounds small compared to the Alps or the Rockies, you're right, it is small. The standard route up, called the mountain track, is basically just a long steep walk. No climbing, no ropes. Families do it all the time. But Ben Nevis kills people every single year. In fact, it's one of the deadliest mountains in the UK. Here's the problem, and this applies to a lot of mountains we're going to talk about. The weather is completely unpredictable. You can start the hike in clear conditions, and by the time you reach the top, you're in thick fog with zero visibility. And I mean zero. You can't see 5 feet in front of you. Now, the summit plateau is this wide, flat area covered in rocks. And if you wander off the path even a little bit, you can walk straight off a cliff. These aren't small drops either. We're talking like 700-foot vertical cliffs on the north face. People get disoriented in the fog. They think they're heading back to the trail, but they're actually walking toward the edge. And in winter, forget about it. The mountain turns into this icy, avalanche-prone death trap. You've got snow, ice, cornices that can collapse under your weight, and if you slip in the wrong spot, you're not stopping until you hit the bottom. There's this case from 2016 where an experienced hiker went up alone in winter. The weather turned bad. He never made it down. They found his body months later. He'd fallen from one of those cliffs. And the thing is, he probably didn't even realize he was near the edge. That's how fast the mountain can take you. Okay, so now we're heading to California to talk about Half Dome in Yosemite. And if you've seen photos of Yosemite, you know this thing. It's that massive granite dome that looks like someone sliced it in half with a knife. It's iconic. It's on every Yosemite bucket list. And the best part? You don't need any climbing experience to get to the top. There's a trail. Thousands of people do it every year. But here's where it gets sketchy. The last 400 feet to the summit, you're climbing up the face of this smooth granite dome using metal cables. Picture this. You're pulling yourself up a steep rock face, basically at like a 45 to 60 degree angle, holding onto these cables with hundreds of feet of exposure below you. If you slip and lose your grip, you're going all the way down, and people do slip. Since 2000, at least 13 people have died on Half Dome. Some fell from the cables, others got struck by lightning, because here's another fun fact. Half Dome is a lightning magnet. If you're up there when a storm rolls in, you're basically standing on top of a giant lightning rod, and storms in the Sierra Nevada can come out of nowhere. There's this really sad case from 2011. A woman was climbing down the cables in the afternoon when a storm hit. The granite got wet and slippery, she lost her grip and fell. Just like that, gone. And there were hundreds of people on the cables that day, all watching, all terrified, because they realized they were in the same danger. The thing with Half Dome is that it feels like an adventure, like something you do for the gram, you know? But it's not a theme park ride. It's a real mountain with real consequences, and when things go wrong up there, they go wrong fast. Let's talk about Mount Hood in Oregon. It's this beautiful snow-covered peak that you can see from Portland. It's one of the most climbed mountains in the world. We're talking like 10,000 attempts every year. And the thing is, the standard route is considered one of the easiest ways to climb a glaciated peak in the US. You don't need to be an expert mountaineer. Lots of people do it as their first big mountain. But Mount Hood has killed more climbers than any other mountain in the Cascades. We're talking over 130 deaths since records started being kept. So what's going on? Well, first off, even though it's easy, you're still climbing a mountain with glaciers, crevasses, and icefall. People fall into crevasses, avalanches happen, the weather can turn brutal in minutes, and when you're at 11,000 feet in a whiteout, it doesn't matter how easy the route is supposed to be, you're in serious danger. And then there's this section called the Pearly Gates. It's near the summit, and it's basically this narrow chute between rock and ice. You're climbing through it, and above you is this massive amount of ice and rock that can come down at any time. In 2002, 3 climbers were killed when a huge chunk of ice broke off and hit them. They didn't do anything wrong. They were just in the wrong place when the mountain decided to let go. The other thing with Mount Hood is that because it's so accessible and so close to Portland, people underestimate it. They think, oh, it's just a day trip, and they don't bring the right gear, or they don't check the weather, or they go up when they're not ready. And then something happens, and suddenly this beginner mountain becomes a rescue operation, or worse, a body recovery. Now we're heading back to the UK, to the Lake District, to talk about Helvellyn. It's the 3rd highest peak in England at about 3,100 feet. And again, if you're used to big mountains, that probably sounds tiny. But Helvellyn kills people regularly. The most popular route is called Striding Edge, and it's this narrow ridge that you walk along to get to the summit. On a clear day, it's honestly not that hard. It's exposed, yeah, but if you're careful and the weather's good, it's doable. The problem is when the weather's not good. In winter, Striding Edge turns into this icy knife edge with massive drops on both sides. If you slip, you're falling hundreds of feet down a steep slope and you're not stopping. And even in summer, the weather can change so fast. Fog rolls in, the rocks get wet, and suddenly you're navigating this narrow ridge where one wrong step could be it. There's this case from 2020. A guy was walking Striding Edge in winter. He slipped on ice and fell about 500 feet down the side. He didn't survive. And the thing is, he wasn't doing anything crazy. He was just walking the same route thousands of people walk every year. But the conditions were bad, and that's all it took. The Lake District as a whole has a really high rescue rate. Mountain rescue teams are called out constantly, and a lot of those calls are from Helvellyn. People get stuck on Striding Edge, they get lost in fog, they get injured, and sometimes they don't make it down. Alright, let's head to Colorado and talk about Pikes Peak. It's one of Colorado's famous 14ers, mountains over 14,000 feet, and Pikes Peak is one of the most accessible. There's a highway to the top, there's a cog railway, you can literally drive or take a train to the summit, but people die hiking it. The most common route, Bar Trail, is about 13 miles each way. That's a 26-mile round trip with over 7,000 feet of elevation gain. And here's the thing, altitude sickness is real. At 14,000 feet, there's about 40% less oxygen than at sea level. your body starts shutting down if you're not used to it. People get headaches, nausea, dizziness. Some people collapse, some people die. And then there's the weather. Afternoon thunderstorms are almost guaranteed in the summer. Lightning kills people on Pikes Peak. In 2018, a hiker died from a lightning strike near the summit. And it's not just lightning. Hypothermia is a huge risk too. Even in summer, temperatures at the top can drop below freezing. The other problem is that because it's so accessible, people attempt it without proper preparation. They don't bring enough water, don't account for altitude, don't check the weather, and by the time they realize they're in trouble, they're hours from help. Here's the thing, all of these mountains have something in common. They're accessible, they're popular, they're labeled as easy or moderate. And that gives people a false sense of security. They think, if thousands of people can do it, I can do it. And yeah, most of the time, that's true. But mountains don't care about statistics. They don't care if you're the 10,000th person that year or the first. When conditions turn bad, when the weather changes, when you make one wrong step, that's it. The real danger isn't the mountain itself, it's underestimating it. It's going up unprepared because you think it's going to be a casual hike. It's not checking the forecast, it's not turning back when you should. And that's what gets people killed. So if you're planning to climb any of these peaks or any mountain, really, take it seriously. Check the weather, bring the right gear, know your limits, and if things don't feel right, turn around. There's no shame in coming back another day, because the mountain will always be there. But you only get one shot. Stay safe out there.